My name is John Paul Wumble, and I am the interim executive director at the Alliance of AIDS Services Carolina. Also been HIV positive for 15, 16, 17 years. I forget exactly how long.
And how did you find out that you were positive?
I got really, really sick, and I had a suspicion that I had probably become infected. So I went to the Wake County Health Department and prayed the whole time, but went ahead and had an HIV test, and sure enough, it came back positive. It was a pretty rough day.
How did you react to it?
Well, it's funny, I'd always said my father had died of AIDS about 4 years prior to that, so I'd always said that I would never battle the way he battled, that I would probably give up the fight pretty early. I guess when I tested positive, I got in the car and drove straight to every single friend I had, family, friends, and told them all that I had just tested positive, so that at least it was out there in public quickly and immediately, and then I could sort of begin to process with friends and family what this all meant. One very close friend, Courtney, almost went into an African keening, just this wailing of sorrow and tears. And she, I think, is who I spent the most of my time with right after I tested positive, sort of to process through those early days and weeks.
Why did you go ahead right away and tell everybody? Because isn't that a little unusual?
Well, I think one of the things that I believe that cost my father his own life was that he had been terribly, terribly ashamed and private about his status. And I sort of thought I've got to do something different than he did in order to survive. So step one for me was going and just telling everyone I could think of that I tested positive, both as an alarm bell to friends, but also so that I had nothing to hide.
What happened? Did you get sick again right away, or what happened after that?
I didn't get sick for a long time. I mean, my seroconversion was pretty sick. I mean, it was pretty bad. I had the classic horrible flu-like symptoms where I thought, please, oh God, either let this be HIV or let it be killing me now because this is horrible. But pretty much after that, I had no effects of HIV other than side effects from medications.
So you went on medication pretty much right away?
Almost immediately. I was in the first study with 3TC when 3TC came out. So I was on AZT and 3TC as a trial right away under the care of the incredible Dr. John Bartlett at Duke. Who became both my friend and physician. So right away I went on meds, and over the course of years I've changed medications and been on meds, off meds at various points in time, but pretty consistently I've treated my HIV very aggressively.
How do you keep track of what goes on with your body?
In what sense?
Whether you need to go back on medication, or how your T-cell count is?
I see my doctor at least once a month, sometimes twice, depending on what's going on. We are constantly doing CD4s, viral loads, genotype, phenotypes, the full battery of tests. I am blessed with, unlike most people living with HIV, I am blessed with good support, good insurance, good access to care. So I have the luxury of pretty much monitoring it every way, both objectively and subjectively between the physicians and the medications. So,
how long have you worked for the AIDS Alliance?
I started volunteering at the Alliance of AIDS Services Carolina when it was the AIDS Service Agency many, many, many years ago. I've been on staff there for almost 9 or 10 years now.
What do you do?
Well, I started out as a treatment adherence counselor, ironically, ergo my point of the poster boy of adherence. So I started out as a treatment adherence counselor and then became the Director of Development and Public Affairs. And just recently, as our executive director and my dear friend and mentor, Jacqueline Clymore, left to become the state AIDS director, I have moved into the position as the interim executive director. So for 9 years, I've been there, 9, 10 years.
What is your main issue in your work?
In my work at the Alliance, that's such a really difficult question because my main issue involves one target but 500 methodologies. My ultimate target is to halt the spread of HIV and to ensure that all people living with HIV have access to the health care and the medications and the services that they need. So those are my priorities. How I go about that is multifaceted. I do public policy work with the General Assembly, with Congress, with lay leaders, with church leaders, with civic leaders, with bar owners, with folks on the street in every form and fashion. My goal is to basically ensure that we have in place in North Carolina and in Raleigh, the Triangle, and the area surrounding, access to folks who need care to make sure that they get the care that they need and that they get the test they need. Because if you're alive in 2009, if you're alive today, you're at risk for HIV. And if you're HIV positive today, there are services that are out there for your mental well-being, for your physical well-being, for your spiritual well-being. And my goal is A, to keep you from becoming infected, and B, if you do test positive, that we guarantee that we provide you access to the care you need.